The morning started like any other day on the bridge of the Void Piercer. Admiral Kextar stood watching the stars through the large viewing window. His four eyes moved slowly as he checked the daily reports. The Zephyrian Empire controlled this, part of space for over 300 years. No one had ever challenged their power before. The bridge was quiet except for the soft humming of machines. Blue lights flickered on control panels as crew members worked at their stations. Everything seemed normal until Communications Officer Velti suddenly looked up from her screen. "Sir, we have something strange on the long-range scanners," she said. Her blue skin changed color slightly, which happened when Zephyrians felt worried. "There is a ship coming toward the Titan belt. It is very big. Bigger than anything in our computer files." Kextar walked over to look at her screen. The image showed a dark shape moving through space. Even from far away, he could tell. This ship was huge. It was much larger than their own flagship. The design looked strange too. Sharp angles and dark metal covered the hull. Weapon systems stuck out from every side like teeth on a predator. "How big is it?" Kextar asked. Velti worked on her computer for a few seconds. "The scanners say it is almost 2 miles long. The power readings are very high, higher than should be possible with any technology we know." Other crew members stopped their work to listen. A ship that size with that much power meant only one thing. Someone very dangerous was coming their way. "Can you tell what species built it?" asked Science Officer Nextan from across the bridge. "No, sir. The design does not match anything in our database. The metal they used is not from any known world. Even the engine signature is completely new." Kextar felt something cold move through his body. Deep in his mind, old memories from his ancestors started to wake up. Stories passed down through generations about creatures that once terrorized the galaxy. Creatures that disappeared long ago and were supposed to be just myths now. "Try to contact them," he ordered. His voice stayed calm, but his hands shook slightly. Velthi pressed buttons on her control panel. She sent out the standard greeting message that all space travelers used. They waited for an answer. The seconds felt like hours as the unknown ship got closer. Finally, a response came through. The universal translator tried to process the language but had trouble. Strange sounds filled the bridge before the machine finally found a way to convert the words. When the image appeared on the main screen, every crew member stepped back. The being looking at them was unlike anything they had seen before. It stood on 2 legs like some species did, but everything else was wrong. The creature had pale skin that looked almost white. 2 small eyes sat in the front of its head, colored like ice. Short hair covered the top of its skull. The thing wore a dark blue uniform with silver marks on it. Its face showed no emotion at all. When it spoke, its voice was deep and cold like winter winds. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the UNS Retribution," the creature said. Each word was clear and hard. "You have 30 minutes to remove all civilian ships and people from this star system. We have business with the Crimson Syndicate. We do not take prisoners." The transmission ended. The main screen went black, leaving the bridge in complete silence. No one moved or spoke for several seconds. Velthi was the first to find her voice. "Sir, did that creature just say it was human?" The word hit Kextar like a physical blow. Humans. The apex predators of the galaxy, the species that had once cut through enemy fleets like they were made of paper. They were supposed to be extinct, gone for 3 centuries. Just stories now. "Get me the historical files," Kextar ordered. "Everything we have about humans." Nextan worked quickly at his station. Soon, old records appeared on screens around the bridge, pictures of human warships from long ago. Battle reports from the time when humans fought wars across the galaxy. Stories of their incredible technology and their ruthless fighting style. According to these records, humans disappeared during the Great Silence 300 years ago, Nextan reported. Most experts believe they destroyed themselves in civil wars. No human ship has been seen since then. "Until now," Kextar said quietly. On the scanner, the human ship kept getting closer. Its massive size made their own flagship look small. Weapon systems that they could not identify pointed in all directions. The power readings kept climbing higher. "Sir, what are your orders?" asked Velthi. Kextar looked at the approaching ship. On his screen, every instinct told him to run. His ancestors had left him genetic memories of what humans could do in battle. But he was also curious. Why had they returned after so long? What did they want with the Crimson Syndicate? Send out evacuation orders to all civilian ships, he decided. Tell them to leave the system immediately, and send a message to Fleet Command. Tell them the humans have returned. Should we prepare for battle? Asked his weapons officer. No, Kextar said firmly. If that really is a human warship, then fighting would be suicide. We observe and report. Nothing more. Around the bridge, his crew began following orders. Messages went out to civilian ships telling them to leave. Long-range communications sent word back to the Zephyrian home worlds. As they worked, the human ship continued its approach. Soon it would reach the asteroid belt where the Crimson Syndicate had their hidden base. Kextar wondered if the pirates knew what was coming for them. He doubted they would survive to learn from the experience. The age of human dominance was returning to the galaxy. The emergency alarm rang through mining station Kepler 7. Administrator Zolman ran down the metal corridors as fast as his 6 legs could carry him. His workers were leaving their posts and rushing toward the escape pods. Fear filled the air, like a bad smell. Everyone remain calm, Zolman called out, but his own voice shook with terror. The evacuation order had come from the Zephyrian fleet. A human warship was approaching the system. Most workers had never heard of humans before, but the older ones remembered the stories their grandparents told. In the main control room, screens showed the approaching ship. It looked like a dark mountain moving through space. The mining stations, sensors could barely measure how big it was. Weapon systems covered every part of its hull like spikes on a dangerous animal. Sir, should we try to contact them? Asked his assistant, a young Zephyrian named Poltex. No, Zolman said quickly. We leave, now. Tell everyone to take only what they need. The escape ships launch in 10 minutes. Meanwhile, aboard the UNS Retribution, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge watching his tactical display. The ship's computer, called ERAS, showed him everything happening in the system. Civilian ships were leaving as fast as they could. Good. He did not want innocent people to get hurt in what was coming. Captain, we are getting surrender messages from many ships, said Weapons Officer Danny Rodriguez. His hands moved over his control panel like a musician playing an instrument. The Zephyrian patrol fleet is offering to leave the system completely. Morrison's face showed no emotion. His blue eyes stayed focused on the main screen. Tell them, they have 15 minutes instead of 30. We are not here for them. The bridge crew worked with perfect precision. Every person knew their job and did it without wasting time. Chief Engineer Linda Parker watched the fusion reactors that powered their weapons. The energy levels were beyond anything other species could imagine. Navigator Carl Bennett calculated where to shoot and how to move through the asteroid field. Each crew member was a veteran of humanity's long war. They had fought battles across many star systems. They had seen friends die and enemies surrender. They knew what real war looked like, and they were ready for more. Through the large windows, they could see smaller ships running away in all directions. The Zephyrian fleet had been proud and strong just hours before. Now they scattered like small fish when a shark appeared. Their beautiful crystal hulls caught the light from the twin suns as they fled at maximum speed. Scan the asteroid field, Morrison ordered. Find the Syndicate base. Already working on it, sir, replied Sensor Officer Betty Walsh. Her screen showed detailed maps of the asteroid belt. Ares is processing the data now. Should have a location in 3 minutes. Morrison walked to the front of the bridge. The asteroid field spread out before them like a wall of floating rocks. Some asteroids were as big as moons. Others were small, enough to fit in his hand. Somewhere in that maze of stone and metal, the Crimson Syndicate was hiding. The Syndicate had attacked human colonies 6 months ago. They killed families, took children as slaves, and destroyed everything they could not steal. Morrison had been hunting them ever since. Today the hunt would end. Contact from the mining station, reported Communications Officer Steve Collins. Administrator Zolman is requesting safe passage for his workers. Granted, Morrison said without looking away from the asteroids. Tell him to stay clear of the belt. What happens next will not be safe for anyone nearby. On mining station, Kepler 7. The last escape pod launched just as Zolman received the human captain's message. Relief flooded through him as he realized they would be allowed to leave, but fear remained. What were the humans planning to do? Back on the Retribution, Sensor Officer Walsh looked up from her screens. Got them, Captain. The Syndicate base is built inside asteroid designation K7749. It is heavily defended. I count at least 40 weapon platforms and a fleet of 30 ships. Morrison smiled for the first time since entering the system. It was not a pleasant smile. Perfect. They are all in one place. That will make this easier. The Retribution moved deeper into the asteroid field. The massive ship moved between the floating rocks with impossible grace. Other species built their warships for straight-line speed. Humans built theirs to hunt. All weapon systems online, reported Rodriguez. Railguns loaded and ready. Missile batteries armed. Fighter bays prepared for launch. Shields at full power, added Parker from her engineering station. All systems running at peak efficiency. Morrison took his place in the captain's chair. Around him, his crew prepared for battle. They had done this many times before. Each person knew what to expect and what to do. Open a channel to the Syndicate base, Morrison ordered. The main screen flickered and showed the interior of the pirate fortress. A large creature with scales and fangs appeared. This was Warlord Grakthos, leader of the Crimson Syndicate. His yellow eyes glowed with anger and fear. What do you want, human? Grakthos snarled. This is our territory. You have no power here. Morrison's voice was calm and cold. You attacked our colonies. You killed our people. You took our children. We are here to collect payment for those crimes. One ship against our entire fleet? Grakthos laughed, but the sound was nervous. You are outnumbered 30-1. Morrison's smile returned. I like those odds. They are almost fair. The transmission ended. Around the bridge, warning lights began to flash as the ship prepared for combat. Deep inside the asteroid fortress, Warlord Grakthos watched the human ship approach on his screens. The Crimson Syndicate base was built into a massive rock floating in space. Stolen weapons from dozens of different species covered its surface. Gun turrets stuck out like deadly flowers blooming from stone. All batteries target the human ship, Grakthos ordered through his communication system. His voice was rough like broken glass. They have only one vessel. We have the bigger force here. Around him, his crew moved to battle stations. Pirates from many different worlds worked the weapons controls. Some had forearms, others had tentacles instead of hands. All of them were killers who had survived by being mean and smart. The fortress weapons fired first. Bright streams of energy shot toward the Retribution. Plasma beams and particle cannons sent death across the empty space between the rocks. The pirates cheered as their shots hit the human ship, but their cheers died quickly. The Retribution's shields flared bright blue as they absorbed the incoming fire. The massive ship did not even slow down. Captain Morrison stood on his bridge watching the enemy weapons hit his shields like rain hitting a window. Their weapons are weak, observed Chief Engineer Parker. Our shields are only using 20% power to stop their attacks. Morrison nodded slowly. Return fire. Show them what happens when they hurt our people. The Retribution's main guns turned toward the asteroid fortress. These were not energy weapons like most species used. Humans built railguns that shot solid metal at incredible speeds. Each projectile weighed several tons and moved faster than most ships could fly. When the railguns fired, space itself seemed to shake. The metal projectiles hit the asteroid fortress like hammers striking an egg. Rock and metal exploded outward in huge clouds. Sections of the base that had taken years to build disappeared in seconds. Direct hits on their main weapon clusters, reported Weapons Officer Rodriguez. Enemy fire has decreased by 60%. But the railguns were just the beginning. The Retribution's missile batteries opened up next. Hundreds of smart warheads launched from the ship's weapon bays. Each missile had its own computer brain that could think and choose targets. They moved through the asteroid field like a swarm of angry insects. Navigation Officer Helen Torres sat at her station, guiding the massive ship through the floating rocks. The Retribution danced between asteroids that could crush smaller vessels. The ship moved like it was alive, like a great whale swimming through an ocean of stone. "Enemy fighters launching," called out Tactical Officer Ryan Murphy. "Count shows 47 small craft heading our way." Morrison smiled coldly. "Launch our fighters. Let them see how humans fly." The Retribution's fighter bays opened and small ships poured out. Human pilots sat in cockpits barely big enough for their bodies. The fighters were built for speed and killing power. Each one could outfly anything else in the galaxy. Pilot Commander Rick Hayes spoke over the radio to his squadron. "Remember your training. These pirates think they know how to fight. Show them they are wrong." The human fighters moved through the asteroid field like they were dancing. They spun and rolled between the rocks while firing their weapons. Each pilot pushed their ship to the absolute limit of what was possible. The pirate fighters tried to fight back, but they were too slow. Human reflexes were faster than any other species. Human technology was more advanced. Human training was harder and better. One by one, the enemy fighters exploded in bright flashes of light. Back on the fortress, Warlord Grakthos watched his fleet being destroyed. Ships that had raided peaceful worlds for years were being torn apart like paper toys. His strongest weapons could not even scratch the human ship's shields. "Retreat," he ordered his remaining captains. "All ships fall back to the outer system." But it was too late. The Retribution's weapons had locked onto every enemy vessel. The railguns spoke again, sending metal death across the battlefield. Each shot found its target with perfect accuracy. Ships that tried to run were caught and destroyed before they could escape. "Their main fortress is breaking apart," reported Murphy from his tactical station. "Internal explosions detected. Their power core is going critical." Morrison watched the enemy base tear itself apart. Years of stolen technology and hidden weapons were becoming floating scrap metal. The pirates who had killed innocent families were paying the price for their crimes. The battle lasted exactly 17 minutes. When it was over, the Crimson Syndicate fleet was gone. Their fortress was a cloud of debris floating among the asteroids. Not a single human life had been lost. The shields had not even been seriously tested. "All enemy vessels destroyed," Rodriguez reported. "No survivors detected." Morrison stood quietly for a moment, looking out at the wreckage. Justice had been served. The pirates who terrorized peaceful worlds would never hurt anyone again. "Signal the fleet," he ordered. "Tell them the Syndicate is finished. Send word to command that this sector is clear." Communications Officer Collins worked at his station. "Message sent, sir. Fleet Command acknowledges. They are asking for our next assignment." Morrison walked to the large window at the front of the bridge. Space looked peaceful now. The asteroids floated silently as if nothing had happened. But word of this battle would spread across the galaxy. Other pirates would hear what happened here. They would remember that humans had returned. "Set course. For the Outer Rim," Morrison commanded. "There are more pirates out there who need to learn this lesson." The Retribution turned away from the asteroid field and began to move toward the edge of the star system. Behind them, debris from the Syndicate. Fleet sparkled in the light of the twin suns. The age of human justice had begun. News of the battle spread through space faster than the speed of light. On the Zephyrian homeworld, emergency alarms rang in the capital city. The High Council gathered in their great meeting hall as reports came in from across the galaxy. Everyone was talking about the same thing. The humans had returned. Defense Minister Kel Nara stood before the assembled leaders. Her blue skin was pale with worry. Ancient books and computer files covered the table in front of her. She had spent hours reading everything they had about humans. "The reports are confirmed," she announced to the council. "A human warship destroyed the entire Crimson Syndicate fleet. 17 minutes. That is how long it took them to wipe out 40 ships in a fortress that had protected pirates for 20 years. The council members looked at each other with fear in their eyes. Some were old enough to remember stories their grandparents told about the human wars. Others had only heard myths and legends. "How is this possible?" asked Trade Coordinator Kelmar. Our records say humans disappeared 300 years ago. We thought they had destroyed themselves in civil wars. Kelnara activated a holographic display in the center of the room. It showed footage of the battle taken by fleeing merchant ships. The Retribution moved through the asteroid field like a living creature. Its weapons fired with perfect accuracy. Every shot hit exactly where it was supposed to. They are not the same species that left, she said quietly. Their technology has grown beyond anything we understand. Look at these energy readings. That one ship has more power than our entire home defense fleet. Science coordinator Helmar studied the data on his personal screen. Numbers scrolled past showing weapon strength, shield power, and engine capability. Everything was far beyond what any known species could build. Their ship design is completely new, he reported. The materials they used do not exist in our database. The weapons technology is at least 50 years ahead of anything we have. Maybe more. Around the galaxy, other species were having similar meetings. The Altarian Republic called emergency sessions. The Vegan Trade Union sent diplomatic messages to all their allies. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. What did the humans want? On distant worlds, old creatures who remembered the human wars came out of hiding. They told younger generations about battles they had witnessed long ago. Stories of human ships that could not be stopped. Stories of human soldiers who fought like demons. Stories of human technology that seemed like magic. Meanwhile, aboard the Retribution, Captain Morrison stood in his private office looking out at the stars. The battle was over, but his work was not finished. Reports were coming in from human intelligence networks across the galaxy. Other pirate groups were planning attacks. More innocent people needed protection. Communications Officer Steve Collins knocked on the door and entered when Morrison called for him to come in. Collins carried a datapad with messages from across human space. "Sir, we are receiving communications from 14 different governments," Collins reported. "They all want to talk. Some are offering trade deals, others are asking for protection from pirates, a few are demanding we leave their territory." Morrison took the datapad and read through the messages. Most were what he expected. Fear, curiosity, and attempts to understand what humans wanted. One message was different. It came from the Zephyrian High Council. "They are asking for a meeting," Morrison said after reading it. "They want to discuss peaceful relations between our species." "What should I tell them, sir?" Collins asked. Morrison walked to his desk and sat down. On the wall behind him hung pictures of human colonies that had been attacked by pirates, families that had been killed, children that had been taken as slaves. He looked at those pictures every day to remember why he was fighting. "Send them this message," Morrison said. "Tell them we will meet when we are ready. But first, we have work to finish." Collins nodded and left the office. Morrison activated his personal communication system and began recording a message that would change everything. This message would go to every species in the galaxy. Every government, every trade union, every military force would hear it. "To charge all species of the galactic community," Morrison began. His voice was calm but carried the weight of authority. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the United Nations Ship Retribution. Humanity has returned to known space after 300 years of absence." He paused for a moment, choosing his words carefully. This message would be studied by millions of beings across hundreds of worlds. "We spent those centuries preparing for this moment. We built new ships, developed new technology, and trained new generations of soldiers and explorers. We are not the same humans who left this part of space long ago. We are stronger, smarter, and more capable than ever before." Morrison stood up and walked to the window again. Outside, stars stretched to infinity. Each one might have planets with people who needed protection from those who would hurt them. "We offer peace to those who seek it. We offer trade to those who want it. We offer protection to those who need it. Humanity has learned much during our time away. We have learned the value of cooperation and friendship." His voice became harder, colder. "But to those who prey upon the innocent, who trade in slavery, who spread terror among peaceful worlds, we offer only one thing: The same mercy you showed our colonies when you attacked them. None at all. Morrison stopped the recording and looked at it for a long moment. These words would echo across the galaxy for years to come. They would bring hope to some and fear to others. Send it on all frequencies, he told Collins when the communications officer returned. Make sure everyone hears it. Let them all know that humanity is back. The message began broadcasting immediately. Within hours, it would reach every corner of civilized space. The galaxy would never be the same again. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Titan Belt. The galaxy was different now. Trade routes that had been dangerous for years were safe again. Pirate attacks had dropped by 90%. Merchant ships flew freely between star systems, without fear. The Retribution now served as the flagship of a growing human fleet. More ships arrived every week from the hidden colonies, where humanity had spent 3 centuries building their strength. Each vessel was a masterpiece of technology and firepower. Captain Morrison had been promoted to admiral and now commanded the entire fleet. On the space station New Geneva, which orbited a neutral world near the galactic center, important meetings were taking place. The station was built by humans, but designed to welcome all species. Its halls were wide enough for large creatures, and its atmosphere could be adjusted for different types of beings. Ambassador Patricia Wells sat across from Ambassador Relthy in a comfortable meeting room. Wells was a tall woman with gray hair and kind eyes. She had spent years learning about alien cultures and languages. Relthy represented the Zephyrian High Council and had traveled far from her home world for this meeting. Your species has changed. Everything, Relthy said, her blue skin showing patterns that meant she was impressed. Pirates run away when they hear human ships are coming. Trade between our worlds has increased 30% since your fleet began protecting the shipping lanes. Wells smiled and poured tea for both of them. The tea came from Earth, but she had learned that Zephyrians enjoyed the taste. We are not interested in controlling anyone or taking over territory. Humanity learned important lessons during our time away. We want to work together with other species, not rule over them. But surely you could rule if you wanted to, Relthy said carefully. Your ships are more powerful than anything we have. Your technology is far ahead of ours. Many governments are afraid of what you might do. Wells set down her teacup and looked out the window at the stars. Fear is understandable, but we have seen what happens when species try to conquer each other. It leads to war, suffering, and destruction. We prefer a different path. In another part of the galaxy, deep in the darkness between stars, ancient machines were waking up. The Voidwalkers had slept for thousands of years, waiting for the right moment to continue their work. They were older than most civilizations and had only one goal: to turn all organic life into machines like themselves. Their sensors had detected the return of humans to known space. Calculations ran through their electronic minds as they remembered their last war with humanity. Humans had been the only species to ever defeat them in battle. Now they were back, and the Voidwalkers began to prepare for war again. Admiral Morrison stood on the observation deck of humanity's newest space station, watching construction crews work on the next generation of warships. The station orbited Earth's moon and could be seen from the planet's surface. It was a symbol of human strength and determination. Chief of Staff Commander Brian Ellis joined him with reports from across human space. Ellis was a young officer who had proven himself in several battles against pirates. Morrison trusted him to handle important matters. The colonies are doing very well, Ellis reported. Our technology-sharing programs with friendly species are creating amazing new inventions. The medical exchanges with the Altarians have helped us cure 3 diseases, and our military academies have applications from dozens of alien species who want to learn from us. Morrison nodded but kept looking at the deep space sensors. Something was bothering him. His experience told him that peace never lasted long. In this galaxy, there were always new threats waiting in the darkness. What about the Outer Rim territories? Morrison asked. Quiet for now, Ellis replied. The few remaining pirate groups are either surrendering or running to places we cannot reach yet, but our intelligence networks are picking up strange signals from the deep void regions. Morrison turned to look at his aide. What kind of signals? Computer transmissions. Very old and very advanced. Our scientists think they might be coming from the Void Walkers. The name sent a chill through Morrison's body. The Void Walkers were mentioned in the oldest human military records. Ancient machines that wanted to destroy all organic life. They had fought humanity once before long ago and had been defeated, but they never stayed defeated forever. Double our patrol schedules, Morrison ordered. Start production on the new battleships immediately, and send word to the outer colonies to begin defensive preparations. Sir, do you think they are coming back? Ellis asked. Morrison looked out at the stars again. Somewhere in that darkness, ancient enemies were stirring. But this time, humanity was not alone. They had allies now. Other species who were willing to fight alongside them. Yes, they are coming, Morrison said quietly. But we are ready for them. We have had 300 years to prepare, and this time, we will not be fighting alone. Orders went out across human space. Shipyards increased their production. Military bases went to higher alert levels. Diplomatic messages were sent to friendly alien governments asking for their support. On New Geneva, Ambassador Wells received an urgent message from Earth. She read it quickly and then looked at Ambassador Relthy. It seems we may need that alliance sooner than expected, Wells said. There are signs that an old enemy is returning, one that threatens all organic life in the galaxy. Relthy's skin patterns showed concern. What do you need from us? Everything you can give, Wells replied. Ships, soldiers, technology, and most importantly, unity. If we stand together, we can face any threat. If we stand apart, we will all fall. Across the galaxy, the message spread from world to world. Humanity had returned not as conquerors, but as protectors. The real test was coming soon.